Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring something I think really hits home for a lot of people. It's that feeling, of simply existing rather than truly living.
It's this quiet weight, isn't it? Just going through the motions.
Exactly, like you're stuck in this relentless cycle and you just wonder where the time actually went.
Yeah, it's more than just a vague feeling. It's like being trapped on this unvarying treadmill. So many people describe it.
Like that specific routine, wake up.
Right. Wake up, head to work, maybe 8:30 a.m. You're back home around 6 p.m. Then it's chores, dinner, bed.
And repeat.
And repeat. And the weekends, they just vanish. You blink and bam, it's Monday again.
And there's often that quiet guilt underneath it all. The mindless scrolling on your phone.
Oh, definitely. That awareness, that nagging voice saying, I'm wasting my life, my free time.
Yeah, and you know it, but you feel stuck, especially if you're dealing with, say, low motivation, maybe even depression treatment. It just feels impossible to break free.
It really does. It's this heavy, self-perpetuating cycle, very common.
So that's our mission today. We want to go beyond just, nodding along to this feeling.
Right. We're aiming to dive deep. Look at the psychology behind it, the philosophy, even the societal stuff that feeds into it.
Our goal is really to pull out some crucial insights, things that can maybe help guide you, our listener, from that feeling of just existing passively towards something more active, more purposeful.
Towards actually living. And to do that, we've gathered a really rich mix of sources.
We have, yeah. We're looking at clinical perspectives, things like burnout, the quarter-life crisis, drawing from places like WebMD, research on early adulthood.
And we're also dipping into philosophy, existentialism specifically, thinkers like Camus, ideas from Ed Desauliers on finding meaning.
Plus modern research, too. Emotional maturity, self-actualization insights from Better Up, Scott Barry Kaufman.
And crucially, grounding it all in real experiences. We found this incredibly insightful Reddit thread titled, I feel that I am not living, just existing. Real people sharing their stories.
It's a comprehensive look, definitely. So where do we start? Understanding that core feeling, maybe, that just existing phenomenon.
Yeah, let's really unpack that, because that listener sentiment you mentioned, it captures it so perfectly.
I go to work at 8:30, back home at 6 p.m., do some chores, dinner, go to bed.
Yeah.
Next day, repeat. On the weekend, I really don't even see the time passing by. I blink and it's Monday already. It's not abstract, is it? It's this tangible feeling of life just slipping away.
Right. Like life's on fast forward, but you're just watching, not really participating.
Yeah, and that layer of knowing you're mindless scrolling, knowing you're wasting time, it adds this quiet despair.
It really does. You're caught. And even if you see the problem, that low motivation, maybe from depression or just exhaustion, makes breaking free feel, monumental, almost impossible.
Which brings us straight to burnout. It's a word we hear constantly, but what does it actually mean? Because it's so much more than just feeling stressed.
That distinction is critical. Stress and burnout feel very different internally. WebMD clarifies burnout isn't just being overwhelmed. Stress is like too much, too many demands, you're running on adrenaline, feeling frantic.
Right, like you're juggling too many things.
Exactly. But burnout, that's caused by constantly feeling swamped for too long. Too much emotional, physical, mental fatigue. It leaves you feeling not overwhelmed, but depleted, used up.
So not too much, but not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough energy, motivation, care.
Precisely. Your internal battery isn't just low, it feels completely drained, maybe even damaged. There's just nothing left in the tank.
So it's like your engine has seized, not just sputtered. That exhaustion isn't just needing a nap. It's this fundamental depletion.
And that crushing sense of failure people talk about, it's not just imposter syndrome, it's this deep conviction that you're fundamentally inadequate, even if objectively you're doing okay.
Wow. That really separates it from stress. Stress might push you, but burnout corrodes your sense of self.
It does. And the key symptoms are pervasive. They touch everything. That constant feeling of exhaustion, being drained.
No energy for anything.
Right. A profound sense of hopelessness, like nothing will ever change. Lack of motivation, emotional detachment, just feeling numb or distant.
Cynical, maybe. A negative outlook on everything.
Very common. Cynicism, negativity, and that crushing sense of failure we mentioned. These aren't just bad moods. They're persistent states that really drain your spirit.
And it actually impacts your ability to do things, right? It's not just in your head.
Absolutely. It actively prevents you from performing effectively. At your job, sure, but also at home, caring for family, being creative, concentrating. Everything feels like a massive effort.
Concentration becomes a battle.
Yeah, and creativity just feels like a distant memory. It's a real functional impairment.
And then there are the physical signs, which people often miss or dismiss.
They do, but they're important signals. General fatigue that rest doesn't touch. Getting sick more often because your immune system is shot.
Body aches, headaches.
Recurring ones, yeah. Loss of appetite, or sometimes eating more as a coping mechanism. And insomnia, being exhausted but unable to sleep. It's a cruel irony.
It really paints a picture of a system in crisis. The body is just screaming for help.
Exactly. It's reacting to that prolonged, unaddressed mental and emotional strain.
Now, as we describe this deep depletion, a lot of listeners might be thinking, okay, but how is this different from clinical depression? The symptoms sound like they overlap quite a bit.
That's a really, really crucial distinction, and it's easily confused. Think of burnout as often being tied to a specific domain, your job, maybe caregiving, a demanding project. It's like a severe, prolonged exhaustion related to that.
So if you remove the stressor or take a real break, you might start to recover, like recharging a battery.
Often, yes. A significant change in circumstances addressing those specific stressors can alleviate burnout symptoms. The battery can be recharged, sometimes slowly, but it's possible.
But depression?
Depression is a different beast entirely. It's a clinical illness affecting your whole being, mood, thoughts, body. It permeates everything, often without a clear external trigger like a specific job. Getting out of bed can feel impossible.
And it needs professional help, like therapy or medication.
Absolutely. It's a medical condition requiring proper diagnosis and treatment. Now, untreated burnout can definitely increase your risk for depression. It wears down your resilience, but they aren't the same thing. Getting a professional diagnosis is vital because, yes, the symptoms can look very similar on the surface.
Got it. And burnout isn't something that just appears overnight, right? You mentioned it's gradual.
Yeah.
Insidious, even.
It is. WebMD notes it's a slow process, often hard to spot early on. Psychologists Gail North and Herbert Freudenberger actually proposed 12 stages. Think of it like a slippery slope.
12 stages. Wow. So it starts subtly, maybe even disguised as something positive.
Exactly. The early stages can look like high achievement. Stage 1 is often an urgent need to prove yourself. Perfectionism, driven by a fear of not being good enough or meeting demands.
So you push yourself harder.
Which leads to stage 2, working harder. Trying to do everything yourself, maybe needing to feel indispensable or in control. You're driven by anxiety, not passion. This sets up that constant self-criticism loop.
Okay, so you're overcompensating, doing everything, and then you start cutting things out. That sounds like a warning sign.
It is. Stage 3 is neglecting your needs. Sacrificing sleep, exercise, hobbies, social life. Rationalizing it by saying work is too important right now.
And maybe even looking down on people who do have balance.
Yeah, sometimes. Thinking your way, the stressed way, is the right way. You might start making small mistakes here too. Errors creep in.
And what does this do to relationships? It sounds isolating.
It definitely leads to more interpersonal conflicts. Stage 4, you're irritable, impatient, your reserves are low. Snapping at coworkers, friends, your partner.
Plus physical complaints starting, sleep issues.
Exactly. Sleep disturbances, maybe headaches, feeling generally unwell. Your body is starting to protest more loudly. This leads into stage 5. A revision of values.
Revision of values. What does that mean?
It means things that used to matter, friends, family, hobbies, become secondary. Your goals, often work-related, become paramount. You might seem insensitive or cold because your focus has narrowed so intensely.
And then comes denial.
Stage 6, denial. This is where bitterness, cynicism really take root. You might start cutting people off, feeling easily angered, impatient. And ironically, despite all the effort, your performance often starts to noticeably suffer. Physical discomfort is more constant now.
So you're disconnected from others, from yourself.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse from there, like an emotional shutdown.
Pretty much. The next stage is withdrawal. Stage 7. Dealing with other people just feels like too much effort, like a burden. Criticism makes you lash out. You feel helpless, disoriented.
Is this where self-medication might creep in?
Often, yes. Using alcohol, drugs, maybe even food to numb the pain. Then comes stage 8. Obvious behavioral changes. Apathy sets in. Nothing seems to matter. You actively avoid responsibilities. More isolation.
That sounds incredibly difficult. And then your actual sense of self starts to break down.
Correct. Stage 9 is depersonalization. This is really alarming. You lose your sense of identity. You might feel like you're just going through the motions, like a robot, not a person. Life feels profoundly meaningless. You neglect your health completely.
Followed by just emptiness.
Stage 10, feeling empty. Relentless exhaustion, but also often crippling anxiety, maybe even panic attacks, sometimes out of the blue.
And the final stages, the absolute crisis point.
Stage 11 is despair. Intense self-hatred, often sliding into clinical depression, maybe even suicidal thoughts. This is incredibly serious. And finally, stage 12, total burnout, a complete mental and emotional collapse. This requires immediate, urgent professional help. It's a full spectrum, from that initial drive to prove yourself all the way to a potential life-threatening crisis.
It's terrifying how it progresses. And you mentioned there isn't just one type of burnout. There are different flavors.
Right. WebMD outlines 4 main types, which helps understand the different ways it can manifest. First, there's overload burnout.
That sounds like the classic one.
It is the frantic pursuit of success. Working harder, longer hours, sacrificing everything, health, relationships, chasing the next goal, convinced more work equals more success, even as you're falling apart. Think of that classic image of someone burning the candle at both ends.
Okay. But what if you're not overloaded with work, but still feel burnt out? That seems counterintuitive.
That's under-challenged burnout. It happens when you feel deeply bored, unappreciated, stagnant. Maybe your job lacks learning opportunities or meaning.
So you're just disengaged.
Exactly. You might work normal hours, but the lack of stimulation leads to emotional distancing, cynicism about your role, avoiding tasks because you just don't care. Imagine someone really bright, stuck in a repetitive, dead-end job.
That makes sense. It's about lack of engagement, not just workload. What about feeling like you're failing, even if you're not?
That points to neglect burnout. Here, you feel helpless, incompetent, unable to keep up, even if you are capable. It's strongly linked to imposter syndrome.
Oh, that feeling of being a fraud.
Precisely. Doubting your abilities despite evidence, feeling overwhelmed by tasks, blaming yourself for everything, like a new manager constantly feeling out of their depth, paralyzed by self-doubt.
And the most severe type, the one that signals a real emergency.
That's habitual burnout. This is the chronic, deep-seated stage. Persistent physical and mental fatigue, pervasive sadness, really noticeable behavioral changes. The risk of clinical depression, even suicidal ideation, is very high here.
So at this point, professional help isn't just advisable, it's essential.
Absolutely imperative. This is beyond self-help. It requires immediate intervention. It's when someone might completely withdraw and life feels utterly meaningless.
Okay, so burnout is this slow, creeping exhaustion. But there's another big piece, especially for younger adults. The quarter-life crisis, that feeling of being completely adrift.
It absolutely is. The QLC is incredibly common, particularly hitting people, say, age 20 to 29. It's that tough transition. You leave the structure of school, maybe the initial excitement of independence wears off, and suddenly you're face-to-face with the often messy realities of adulthood.
And that causes a lot of anxiety about the future.
Huge worry and concern about the future, yeah. Am I on the right path? What am I even doing? Feels like you're supposed to have answers you just don't have.
It's like standing at a crossroads with no map, right? All the easy answers are gone. What kind of emotions come up during this?
Oh, it's a real roller coaster. Anger at your situation, feeling powerless, terror about making the wrong choices, aimlessness, like your compass is just spinning, a lack of clear goals or objectives. It's a really destabilizing, confusing time for many, a disillusionment with what adulthood was supposed to be like.
And the numbers back this up, don't they? That LinkedIn poll showing 75% of 25 to 33-year-olds experienced it.
Exactly, 3 out of 4. It's not some rare condition. It's practically a modern rite of passage. It shows just how many people are grappling with these exact feelings.
And it can have serious consequences. Stress, anxiety.
Definitely. It can lead to significant psychological distress.
Yeah.
Chronic stress, despair, anxiety disorders, even PTSD from the perceived trauma of navigating these huge life changes and uncertainties. And a core part of it is often identity confusion.
Identity confusion. Doubting who you even are.
Yes. Questioning your core beliefs, your values, your principles, asking, who am I really? What do I actually stand for? This confusion makes you really vulnerable.
And if you don't know who you are, it's hard to feel satisfied with life, I imagine.
Precisely. That identity confusion significantly boosts the risk for depression, anxiety, and just a general lack of life satisfaction. You feel disconnected from yourself, from your purpose. Plus, the intense emotional swings, anger, sadness, frustration can really damage relationships, leaving you feeling even more isolated. It's a tough spot to be in.
So we've got burnout, this slow drain, and the quarter-life crisis, this disorienting crossroads. We understand the what. Now let's dig into the why. What are the deeper roots, psychological, philosophical, societal, that feed this feeling of just existing?
This is where we can look at existentialism, that core question, why am I doing this? Is my life meaningful enough? Or what's the point of it all? That is existentialism in a nutshell. It tackles the human search for purpose head on.
And it offers a pretty radical answer, doesn't it? It kind of flips the script on where meaning comes from.
It really does. The fundamental idea is, well, it can be jarring at first. It says humans have no inherent pre-given meaning. We're not born with a purpose stamped on us.
So we have to make it ourselves.
Exactly. We create the meaning of life by ourselves in this meaningless world. That's the core. It argues being alive isn't about taking from the world, but about what we give, what we choose to value and commit to. It shifts the power entirely to the individual.
That meaningless world part sounds potentially bleak, like the universe doesn't care.
It can feel that way initially, but then you look at thinkers like Albert Camus and his idea of absurdism. He acknowledges this clash, our deep desire for meaning versus a universe that offers none. But he sees a path through that absurdity.
He had those 3 stages of life, right, as a way to grapple with this.
Yes, a path to confront this absurd reality and find freedom within it. The first stage he called philosophical suicide.
Which doesn't mean actual suicide, right?
No, not literal. It's about escaping the discomfort of meaninglessness by latching onto external things for meaning, seeking validation, chasing temporary pleasures, blindly following an ideology or societal expectations, trying to fill the void from the outside.
So numbing the existential dread, basically. What's the next harder stage?
The second stage is physical suicide. This is when the person truly confronts the lack of inherent meaning, when the external fixes fail and the world feels utterly pointless. The weight of the absurd feels unbearable, leading to despair and, for some, the contemplation of actual suicide as an escape from that perceived emptiness.
That's incredibly dark. How do you move past that? What's the acceptance stage?
Stage 3 is acceptance. This is the crucial turn. You face the meaninglessness, you embrace the absurdity, but instead of despairing, you find liberation in it.
Liberation. How?
Because if there's no preordained meaning, you are radically free to create your own. You define what matters. You infuse your life with your chosen values, passions, purposes. It's an ultimate freedom to live more profoundly, not by finding meaning out there, but by forging it from within.
That's a powerful reframe. Meaning isn't found, it's made. But often what holds us back from making that meaning are deeper internal blocks, right? Like past experiences.
Absolutely. Which brings us to Dr. Alok Kanodia, or Dr. K. His insight is profound. No amount of fixing your life will make that kid go away.
Meaning you can change jobs, relationships, cities, but if you don't address the underlying stuff,
it won't stick. The unresolved inner child, the egos of past traumas or hurts, they continue to influence your behavior, often unconsciously. You can put a new coat of paint on the house, but if the foundation is cracked, problems will keep showing up.
So even if someone looks successful on the outside, those old childhood bruises, as he calls them, can still be running the show internally. That explains a lot about feeling stuck despite external achievements.
It really does. Dr. K talks about how trauma leads to adaptive coping mechanisms, things we learn to do to survive. Maybe becoming invisible to avoid bullies, or striving relentlessly for success to counteract feelings of shame.
And those strategies might work externally, get you the grades, the job.
They might, but they don't heal the original wound, the old injury. That pain is still there, subtly driving choices, perhaps leading you towards things that don't actually align with who you are now, keeping you in that existing state.
And this ties into identity. He says identity isn't fixed, it's a narrative.
Exactly. Identity requires a timeline, he says. Who we are is a narrative of our most emotional experiences. Our sense of self is woven from these key moments. So to truly change your identity, to move from existing to living, you have to engage with that narrative. Process those significant emotional events, understand how they shaped you, and then consciously choose how the story continues.
It really highlights the need for internal work. Which brings us to another internal factor, emotional immaturity. That sounds like more than just being moody.
Oh, much more. It's defined as a lack of emotional regulation skills or underdeveloped emotional permanence. Basically, struggling to manage feelings healthily, maybe not grasping that emotions pass or continue, even when not intensely felt.
And how does that lock someone into just existing?
Well, if you can't navigate your own emotional world effectively, it's hard to engage fully with life's complexities. Life is emotional. Emotional immaturity means you might avoid challenges, shut down, or react in ways that sabotage connection and growth, keeping you stuck.
What are the signs? How does it show up day to day?
Struggling to express emotions constructively, maybe you lash out or just shut down completely. Actively avoiding difficult feelings, trying to ignore them. A big one is blaming others instead of taking responsibility that prevents learning.
Difficulty asking for help, too.
Yeah.
Maybe fearing vulnerability.
Yes, a real reluctance to ask for help. Fearing it makes you look weak. And poor stress handling, getting easily overwhelmed, hurt, or defensive over small things. These patterns keep you reactive, not proactive.
What causes this? Is it just personality or more about upbringing?
It's often rooted in early experiences. Childhood trauma is a big factor. Attachment issues, neglect, chaotic environments can stunt emotional development, but also things like being overspoiled, never learning resilience,
Other factors.
difficulty staying present, lack of self-awareness, an undeveloped sense of self, not really knowing who you are. And sometimes mental health conditions like depression or anxiety can contribute or overlap with these traits.
Can you give an example? How might this play out in, say, an argument or at work?
Sure. In an argument, instead of pausing to understand their feelings, someone emotionally immature might impulsively say something harsh, then blame the other person entirely, refusing to see their own part.
Okay.
Or at work, getting negative feedback instead of reflecting, they might defensively blame teammates or external factors, avoiding accountability. This pattern blocks learning and keeps them stuck in the same cycles, hindering that move towards truly living.
These internal factors are huge. But let's pivot back to the more direct causes of burnout in QLC. Work-related stuff seems like a major driver for that just existing grind.
Definitely. WebMD points to several key things. Unmanageable workloads, just too much to do constantly.
Feeling swamped.
Right. Unfair treatment, discrimination, lack of equity, favoritism. That's incredibly demoralizing. Unclear job responsibilities, not knowing what's expected of you creates constant anxiety.
Lack of support from management.
Big one. Insufficient communication or support leaves you feeling lost. Extreme deadline pressure, constantly scrambling. And just the lack of real downtime, feeling like you're always on.
So it's not just the volume, but the environment. Feeling powerless.
Exactly. That loss of control over your work or schedule is deeply disempowering, feeling unrecognized or unrewarded for your efforts. And the nature of the work itself, if it's relentlessly demanding, mind-numbingly boring, or just chaotically stressful, it all contributes to that hamster wheel feeling.
What about outside of work? Personal life factors.
Taking on too much without asking for help is a common one, maybe driven by guilt or obligation. Chronic lack of sleep that just undermines everything, physically and mentally.
And relationships. Or lack thereof.
Yeah. A scarcity of supportive, meaningful connections leaves you without an emotional buffer. Isolation makes everything harder. And these can be hugely amplified by caregiving duties for kids, parents, partners. It's often immense pressure with little support or respite.
Personality seems to play a role, too. Some people seem more prone to this.
Certain traits can increase vulnerability, yes. Perfectionism, that constant need for flawlessness, means you're never satisfied, always self-critical. Pessimism drains hope. A strong need for control makes uncertainty incredibly stressful.
The type A personality.
Classic example. Hyper-focused on achievement, work, competition. Often pushes themselves relentlessly, struggles to delegate, ties their self-worth entirely to output. They're often prime candidates for burnout.
Okay, now let's zoom out to the really big picture.
Yeah.
Societal and cultural pressures. These feel like invisible forces, but they shape our expectations so much.
You really do. High-pressure environments, sure, competitive workplaces, intense social scenes, but deeper than that is the pressure to conform. Remember those stats? 88% of young people feeling they had to look or act a certain way, 86% feeling they had to do what society expected.
That's huge. It's like everyone's trying to fit into a mold rather than finding their own path.
Exactly. And this pressure isn't felt equally. The sources highlighted how cultural expectations hit racialized young people particularly hard.
Right, the difference was stark. 80% of Asian youth, 82% of Black youth feeling intense pressure from family and carers to conform culturally.
Compared to only 28% of white youth feeling that same level of family-driven cultural pressure, that's a massive difference in the external weight they carry.
And in more collective cultures, like the example of Indonesia, it's about constant comparison and shame if you don't meet milestones.
Precisely. Constant judgment or influence from the community. Pressure to marry by a certain age, for instance, not because you want to, but to avoid negative reactions or bringing shame on the family. This external validation becomes paramount. overriding personal desires, fueling crises.
So it's not just conforming, but actively avoiding community judgment. And gender plays into this differently, too.
It seems so. While QLC hits the 25-33 range broadly, women appear slightly more likely to experience QLC and burnout. The theory involves a mix of emotional differences, brain structure, but also societal focus.
How so?
Society often puts more pressure on women regarding relationships and marriage timelines. For men, the pressure might be more intensely focused on career achievement and financial stability. Different scripts, but both can lead to feeling trapped or inadequate if you don't meet them.
And the final, very real pressure, money. Financial stress underlies so much.
Absolutely. The drive for financial independence worries about debt, job security, especially for young adults starting out. It's a huge source of anxiety. Needing that ideal job right away, paying off loans, supporting yourself, it makes every decision feel high stakes, limiting choices.
Okay, wow. We've painted a really detailed picture of the what burnout, QLC, and the why, the deep internal factors and the massive external pressures. It feels heavy. So how do we actually move towards living? What's the starting point for change?
The most powerful starting point, it's internal. It's cultivating awareness and taking self-responsibility. Remember, Dr. K, awareness is willpower. Awareness is self-control.
So understanding why you feel the way you do, not just feeling it?
Exactly. Real change comes from that deeper self-awareness, understanding your internal conflicts, your drives, the stories you tell yourself.
And that means challenging that instinct to blame circumstances. My job makes me stressed. My partner makes me angry.
Yes, it's a radical shift, maybe counterintuitive. But the freedom comes when you realize your thoughts about the situation cause the feeling, not the situation itself. Taking full responsibility for how you feel is incredibly empowering.
How so?
Because you realize even the worst feeling is just a feeling. You can handle it. You stop adding suffering by resisting reality. And you can start reframing things. Like, after work isn't just the end of the day. It's when my day begins, your personal time. You reclaim that agency.
Building on that, embracing emotions, all of them seems key, not just chasing good feelings.
Absolutely. Emotional maturity isn't about not feeling bad things. It's about creating space to experience and process both the pleasant and unpleasant without judgment. Letting them flow through you, learning from them.
So avoiding that trap of resisting reality, this shouldn't be happening, which just adds pain.
Right. You feel the pain cleanly without the extra layer of struggle against it. This leads straight into self-acceptance.
Accepting all parts of yourself,
Yeah.
even the messy bits.
Yes, it's core to well-being. Accepting all sides of myself, including my shortcomings, embracing all of my quirks and desires without shame or apology. Unconditional acceptance, letting go of needing to be perfect.
Which directly fights that toxic belief that I'm damaged and unworthy. So many people feel that way.
It's a huge block,
Yeah.
but the truth is, no one is damaged. We're all just messy humans doing our best. You are 100% worthy right now. When you internalize that, the need for external validation fades. You can connect genuinely.
This feels like a bridge to Maslow's idea of self-actualization.
Right.
Moving beyond just fixing things to actually thriving.
Precisely. Maslow talked about moving from deficiency motivation, just meeting basic needs, to growth motivation. This is driven by curiosity, creativity, love for humanity. Self-actualized people focus on growth, wholeness, integration, tackling real problems because their basics are covered, they're blooming.
And they embrace the unknown. Not afraid of it.
Right. Scott Barry Kaufman calls this plasticity a tendency towards exploration, curiosity. They see potential lights in uncertainty, not just threats. They're open to experience.
And they have a strong sense of purpose. That thing people feel is missing when just existing.
Yes, a deep purpose in life, feeling a great responsibility to accomplish a particular mission that will help the good of humankind, something bigger than themselves.
Other traits.
Continued freshness of appreciation, finding wonder in everyday things, authenticity, being true to your values, equanimity, staying stable amid stress, perceiving reality clearly, humanitarianism, experiencing peak experiences, moments of transcendence, good moral intuition, a creative spirit in everything.
It sounds like a continuous journey of becoming. And having a growth mindset fuels all of this.
Absolutely essential. Believing you can learn and grow, seeing challenges as opportunities, focusing on improvement, not fixating on failures. It's the engine for self-actualization.
Okay, this is all incredibly inspiring. But for someone feeling totally stuck, maybe depressed, low energy, how do you start? What are the practical, maybe tiny baby steps?
Start with the foundations. Mindfulness and intentionality. Practices like yoga, meditation, even just mindful breathing can release physical stress. But it's also about paying attention during the day. Notice when you're overwhelmed. Pause. Check in with yourself. Approach tasks with intention, not autopilot.
Okay, intentionality.
Yeah.
And breaking that routine, the work chores scroll cycle, it feels so hard to break that inertia.
That Reddit thread had a great idea. Sign up for random classes. Pottery, language, glass blowing, whatever. Something totally different. It forces you out of the rut, shifts your focus, creates dedicated me time.
And practically, making time.
Meal prepping, seriously. An hour on Sunday saves mental energy and time every single weekday evening, reduces decision fatigue, and crucially, reframe non-work hours as your time. Put things in your calendar, small things. 10 minutes journaling, 5 minutes meditating, a 10-minute walk, 15 minutes on a hobby or learning app. Tiny, achievable steps build momentum.
Scheduling self-care. What about connection? Isolation is a big part of this feeling.
Actively seek support. Don't wait. Reach out to trusted friends, family, coworkers. Have a lunch with someone. Join a group volunteer, book club, sports team. Social support buffers stress, provides comfort, reminds you you're not alone. Intentionally cultivate it.
And physical health. Easy to neglect when feeling low.
Non-negotiable. Prioritize enough sleep. Game changer. Aim for 7-9 hours. Eat healthy. Focus on whole foods, limit sugar, processed carbs, moderate caffeine, alcohol, and exercise. Aim for 30 minutes daily, but honestly, even 10 minutes counts. A quick walk outside can shift your whole mood.
What about the mindless scrolling specifically? So many people feel trapped by it.
Tackle it directly. Practical phone settings. Grayscale mode makes it less appealing. Remove distracting apps temporarily. Set screen-free timers even 15 minutes. Designate no-phone zones like the bedroom. Reduce the unconscious pull. Create space for real life.
Setting boundaries. Saying no. That sounds crucial for stopping the overload.
Hugely important. And a sign of emotional maturity. It shows self-respect. Clearly define what you will and won't do. Protect your time and energy. Practice saying no. It's hard, you might feel guilty, but it's self-preservation. Start small.
And dreaming big. Setting exciting goals, but linking it to action.
Yes. Dream big enough to excite you. Impossible goals, travel, career change, whatever sparks something. But crucially, move from passive learning, reading, listening to active application. Your results don't lie. Take the tiniest step towards that big dream today, then another tomorrow. Consistent action beats passive hope.
Finally, the really hard one for many. Asking for help.
It feels hard, but it's a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows self-awareness. Ask your supervisor for help managing workload. Talk to HR. And critically, consider therapy or coaching. Talk about your feelings. Get guidance. It's an investment in yourself, a courageous step towards breaking free.
So, wrapping this all up, that feeling of just existing, it's incredibly common. It's not a personal failure.
Not at all. It stems from this complex mix we've discussed. Burnout, QLC, emotional factors, huge societal pressures. It's a shared human challenge.
But, and this is the hopeful part, it's not permanent. It's not insurmountable. The path towards living fully with purpose is possible.
It is. It starts with that internal shift. Self-awareness, emotional maturity, a growth mindset, and actively choosing to create your own meaning. You hold the pen. You are the architect.
So as we finish this deep dive, here's something to think about. If existentialism is right, if the universe gives us no meaning and it's truly up to us, what small intentional meaning will you choose to create in your life, maybe even just today? And what might it feel like to let go of needing the world to approve and instead bravely define your own purpose purely from the inside out?